Unfortunately, Willie Johnson is no longer with us, but Michael Frank knew him personally and worked with him in the studio. We're happy to welcome to the stage founder and president of Earwig Music, Mr. Michael Frank.
This purple suit because I'm like everybody in the room. I'm passionate about the music, the musicians, and their art, and I'm very passionate about Willie Johnson. Willie was, I'm supposed to read this script, but I've got a lot of things going on in my head about Willie, but I'll start with the script. I was, as a young kid, just starting out, buying blues records in the late 1960s, I first became aware of Willie Johnson when I bought albums by Howlin Wolf. I was reading Living Blues, Blues Unlimited, a very important magazine out of England, and its follow-up, Juke Blues, Living Blues, other seminal blues magazines. I learned of Willie's playing, you know, and how much he was influencing the British guys that had a big impact on the resurgence of the blues in the 60s, when a lot of them name-dropped Willie Johnson. Not Blind Willie Johnson, who's gotten a lot of buzz in the last few years, but this Willie Johnson as a huge influence on their playing. All the British blues rockers, and lots of American rockers and blues players have acknowledged Willie Johnson. When I got the Sunbox record set, I heard Willie's recordings on his own. He's known on all the early Howlin Wolf Memphis records, you know, Evil and Natchez Burnin' and just a bunch of others, which he's known for. But if you can just imagine the thrill I felt in the mid-70s on the west side of Chicago when I was hanging out with folks like Dick Sherman and Bruce Iglauer and Bob Kester at Delmark, Jim O'Neill, thanks to Jim O'Neill for showing me the west side of Chicago. When Kansas City Red, a blues drummer who worked with Willie, introduced me to this little gray-haired guy who just happened to be hanging out in this tavern. I think it was the Alibi Inn, Jim, on West Lake Street. And I was introduced to a guy named Willie Johnson. Well, being this, you know, blues head, lifer in the blues, even by that point, it was probably like what Dick Waterman must have felt when he, you know, met Son House and, you know, Mississippi John Hurt the first time. It was like, wow, the Willie Johnson. Willie was one of those guys that wasn't playing that much at that time. But it wasn't that much of a surprise to actually meet him, because back in the late 60s, early mid-70s, there were all these older guys that were still around. Some of them were not playing for various reasons, ill health, you know, battles with the bottle, which was a major issue for Willie. But they were still around. You could still meet them. And, you know, these folks were, you know, the people that Jim and Amy O'Neill were interviewing and writing about from personal experience in this. So I want to acknowledge, again, Amy and Jim for making it possible, and Cilla Huggins and Mike Ledbetter in England, for making it possible for people like me to know who people like Willie Johnson were. Because Willie was one of those guys that was lesser known but had a huge impact. He's still having a huge impact. And I'm very happy that he's being inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame. And Willie